protecting the police every single day.
The super brochure, Mr. Peter Simonson.
Thanks, Kurt. So Kurt asked me to talk 10 minutes on health, and what I'm going to do is recap the last 3-year nightmare through the lens of a guy in the medical industry for 30 years. And I'm going to cover 3 points. I'm going to give you take-home points that you can put to use for you. We're going to talk about the jab, putting it in context. 2, the readjustment of how we look at the medical community. And 3, future threats to our health freedom. Let's talk about the jab. Take-home point, don't take it. If you have taken it, don't take any more. If you have friends or relatives and family members who have taken it, do everything you can to stop it. It is a fight worth having. It's a hill to die on, and I want you guys to know that. That narrative is crumbling. Look up Ed Dowd. Ed Dowd is an analyst, and he'll put together anecdotes and a full picture of life insurance companies, for example, are having 40% increase in mortality between 18 and 65. 2% is a 10-year, 20-year event. 40% is off the charts. The vaccine has injuries that are short-term and long-term that go in 3 different phases: circulation, nervous system, and immune system. Now, there are doctors that didn't drink the Kool-Aid, and I'm going to give you their names because they're the ones you want to talk to or learn that will help us mitigate vaccine injuries, because that won't come from 3-letter agencies on 3-letter networks. It's going to come from those doctors who actually are doing their own research. Look up, write this website if you're interested, flccc.net. And that is the website for 2 of the lions, Dr. Pierre Corey and Dr. Paul Merrick. Pierre Corey was the guy who got in front of the Senate in late 2021 and said, ivermectin knocks this thing out. And if you look at countries like India, the whole state of Uttar Pradesh, the size of the United States population, they knocked it out in about 30 days. They're working on recovering vaccine injuries. Now, a bit of good news. A very key overlooked point, all the shots were not the same. Because the doctors all assumed, and they just assumed the wrong thing, that it was an approved drug. The regulatory mechanism they used was called an EUA, Emergency Use Authorization. An EUA is designed for something a drug company would give to a terminal patient, maybe 1, 2, 10, maybe 100 patients. The regulation window was so much lower. They did not have to publish the ingredients, and they could change the ingredients with almost a clerical change. Look, write this site down, howbadismybatch.com. They're collecting the data of the vaccine injuries. Some were literally toxic within 2 weeks, some were placebos, and there's a whole scale in between that's the doctors are trying to piece together that information. 2, second point, how do we recalibrate the way we look at the medical community? The doctors who didn't drink the Kool-Aid, so to speak, and have put together, they were ostracized. They were fired. They were said, get out of our system. They're forming their own network, and they've got their own meetings. And in a summary, they're literally saying, we're going to have to do this on our own, rebuild it, the current system's going to implode. I recommend finding a doctor that you can trust that is outside that loop, who didn't take the jab. If you want a 1-question criteria, ask your doctor, did you take the jab? If they say yes, find a new doctor. Because you have to find a doctor who knows that they are doctors of medicine, not doctors of health. Do you understand the difference? In our country, we're blessed with some amazing medical technology. And as a rule, if you look at the acute conditions, if I had an appendicitis right now, I got hit by a car, I would want to be in the United States. We're the best. The other illnesses, chronic, that are over long term, we're really the worst. And so doctors of medicine are just that, doctors of medicine. What is medicine? It is drugs, it is procedures. That's what they're good at, but that's not health. Health is a far broader category, toxicity, detox you were just talking about earlier, what you've got to do is be your own doctor and look beyond that. Does that make sense? Yeah. They do not have a monopoly. I love doctors, but I get angry when people look at them as the total source of information. They're one piece of the pie. Use them, but don't overuse them. Does that make sense? Is that helpful?
Trust and verify.
Okay. Now, the last part of the question, we're talking about, it's a political event, and I want to put this in context. The vaccine injuries are going to be horrific. Okay, that's the bad news. There's actually forming look it up, Nuremberg 2.0. Reimer Fullmark, an attorney from Germany, is putting together thousands and thousands of experts to go after these people. It's a crime against humanity. We need to fire Fauci, but fire Fauci's bosses. Okay? His current boss and his former boss, because they're responsible. And that's a big pill to swallow, but it's real. Mm-hmm. Why is this former president, who's taking credit for this project, not warning us? Why is he not telling us, stop it? I asked one of his closest inner circle, how is he not culpable? His answer, he didn't know. Okay, don't necessarily believe that, but let's give you that point. Question 2, if he knows now, why isn't he warning everybody? His answer, ego. Ooh. And my third question was, well, if his ego is preventing saving millions of American lives, that man has no business in office, does he? And he was speechless. And that's the truth. That man has no business. He has created it, he's complied with it, he owns it. Even on his website, as little as 2 weeks ago, he's taking credit for it. And we need to give him credit for it and make him accountable for it. 2, I went to this medical conference, an attorney got up and showed a slide of Florida statute, write this down, I recommend it, 381.00315. It's legislation signed by our governor that gets 381.00315. This legislation, this attorney got up and said 2 slides. He says, I cannot tell you, I'm going to spend my 20 minutes to convey to you how dangerous this language is. He said, this language allows a cabinet level position member to unilaterally declare an emergency, detain, quarantine anybody in the state, and give them any treatment they deem necessary with or without their consent. China, that's China. That was signed by the governor in office.
Ooh.
Yes, look it up. Ooh. So my point being is, the final point is, your health freedom is very important. You need to guard it, and that needs to be a litmus test. And Rand Paul, God bless him. We need more of that. He's digging in and questioning the narrative. The point I'm making is, we need to put that on our radar screen. And that ain't fun news. Now, the good news is, well, to summarize it, don't take the jab. Number 2, become informed. Take care of your health care and use your doctor as a tool. And number 3, let's spot these threats to health freedom. Thank you very much.
Thank you.